Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Given to temptation, pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today. A 19-year-old assaulted his mother and stole her car in Gainesville, Florida. Now, in this incident, 19-year-old Dallas Douglas was waiting with his mother and an 11-year-old sibling in a car to pick up his girlfriend. And when the girlfriend didn't show up, Douglas's mother decided it was time for them to go home, and that's when your Dallas Douglas decided to assault his mother by punching her in the face, kicking her out of her vehicle, and then driving away with the 11-year-old sibling in the back seat. Now, when I take a critical examination of this incident, it fits right in line with the pattern and profile for beta males I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it also fits the pattern of behavior I talk about in my book, Stop Simping: Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. Now, it's clear to me that your Dallas Douglas is one of these beta male simps, and he's one of these beta male simps who really doesn't have good control over his emotions. And it's clear to me that he's so caught up in his emotions over his girlfriend that he doesn't respect the authority of his mother. And he was willing to break the boundaries as relation to his relationship with his mother and disrespect her authority, all because she wanted to go home and not pick up his girlfriend. But he probably didn't understand the reason why his girlfriend probably didn't want to meet him was because he was not a man and was not behaving like a man. Because when a male goes out here and has to be picked up by his mother in a car, that comes from a position of weakness. And this simp really didn't understand that he was coming from a position of weakness by having his mother drive him down to meet his girlfriend in Gainesville, Florida. Because when you have a female and she sees a guy and his mother has to pick him up in a car, she does not see that male as somebody she needs to respect. No, when she looks at that guy at 19 years old being driven to pick her up by his mother, she looks at that guy and she sees a really weak male. She does not see a man. And that's probably the reason why she didn't want to meet him. She probably ran into another male out here who had his own transportation, and she probably got a ride with that dude. And this dude, because he was so caught up in his emotions over this female, didn't understand that this female, by not showing up, was really walking away from him. And he was so caught up in his feelings over this girl that he was literally willing to go out here and break boundaries and go out here and harm his mother over a girl who practically had walked away from him. And she had every right to walk away from him because she looked at this dude and saw that he wasn't a man. When she sees a 19-year-old guy being picked up by his mother, she looked at this guy and saw weakness. She looked at this guy and saw softness, because no man is going out here want to get met by his girlfriend in a car with his mother and another 11-year-old. That's something that really looks really weak. And this dude didn't see how simpish he was looking, and he didn't see how emasculated he was looking. And this guy, he showed how completely emasculated he was by going out here with his mother and a sibling in a car. And then when the woman decides not to show up, that's when he goes from a simp into the beta male who participates in a spectrum of violent behaviors. And he turns on his mother, attacks the mother, and then wants to drive off in the car, probably going to go look for this girl. But then deputies were led on a chase by him, and then he wound up hitting a patrol car when they stopped him, and he wound up getting arrested. So this guy, because he was so caught up in his feelings over a female, he wound up destroying his own life because he didn't have any discipline or self-control to say, okay, I came here in somebody else's ride, and if I'm coming here in somebody else's ride, I have to do things their way. And if they want to leave, then I'm just going to have to go home with these people, or I'm going to step out of this car and wait for this girl. But I believe that he was wasting his time, because when you have a girlfriend and she's got to get in a car with you and your mama and another sibling, that really comes again from a position of weakness, because most girlfriends, they look at a dude like this and they just see a really pathetic joke. I mean, this guy doesn't, again, because these guys are not raised in households with a father in them to teach them, you don't go out here and meet your girlfriend with your parents in the backseat at 19 years old. No, at that age, you are supposed to be having your own transportation. It could be a beat up hoopty, but it needs to be your transportation, and you need to be in that vehicle going to meet your girl on your own. You're not supposed to be in your mama's car, because when they see you in your mama's car, they're going to call you a mama's boy. And this guy acted like Norman Bates from Psycho when he couldn't stay to meet his girlfriend, and he went into full psycho simp behavior, attacking his mother and then kicking her out of the car, and then driving off, probably going to go look for this female who probably was getting her back blown out by some other dude who walked around, had his transportation, and because he had his transportation, that's where she was going. He was sitting there thinking she's waiting for him to come back here with his mama, but nobody's gonna wait for you with mama, because you just look really weak, you look really sad, and nobody is gonna take a dude seriously unless he has his own stuff. At 18, 19 years old, you should have some beat up hoopty if you have to drive, and it may not be the best car, but at least it will be your car. And when you go out here with your girl, she can respect the fact that at least you have your own transportation and you can get around by yourself. So she looked at this dude, and that's why she didn't show up. She was looking at him and going, his mama got to do everything for him. And that looked really pathetic. And what looked even more pathetic was he wound up getting violent with his mother over a female who was already walking away from him. And this is something, many of these simps don't understand. Many of these simps, they live in a rose-colored world created by single moms, and they don't understand the reality going on here to how they look to others and how their behavior is looking to the rest of the world. They're thinking that because they're still mama's boy, that people should take them seriously. But in the world of men, the world is a completely different place, and the things you do with mama aren't going to be acceptable in the world of men. In the world of men, a man who has a girlfriend when he says he wants to go out and protect her and look out for her, he has to have the resources to go out here and do this. And one of those things is, if you're going to meet your girl to make sure she's safe, you have your own transportation and you go to meet that girl by yourself, because that's how men do things. They don't sit there and go there with their mama. No, that when they go there with their mama, that just shows everybody this person, he's still a boy. And then to get emotional and violent with your mother shows how weak and emasculated this male is. So I look at this situation and I see another textbook beta male, a male who had not been taught male life skills by his father, not been taught male survival skills by his father, not taught male social skills by his father, and a simp who was going from a codependent relationship with his single mom into another codependent relationship with his girlfriend, and the girlfriend, seeing how weak and codependent this male was getting ready to head for the exit, and that's why she didn't show up to meet him, because this guy was showing her all of this weakness. And when she saw the other men who had their own transportation, had their own resources, she decided to check out of this relationship with this mama's boy, who clearly doesn't have a clue on how bad he was looking and how much worse he was making the situation, because he went from being with his mama to being in prison. And after this assault, he may possibly be heading into that prison, where they will be turning that tight end into a wide receiver. And this dude doesn't understand that if he just had a little bit of control over his emotions, he would still be free today. Because dudes have to understand, you have to navigate through your emotions. And when you are not in a power position, sometimes you have to take that L in order to survive the next day. Because if you don't have your own job, you don't have your own money, you don't have your own transportation, you are doing things by other people's terms. And if you don't like those terms, then you have to find a way to get your own job, get your own money, get your own transportation, and start laying the foundation for where you want to go in life. And this guy clearly shows me he wasn't ready for things that pertain to a man, because when he goes out here and attacks his mother over his girlfriend, it shows me that this is a man who is not used to being out on his own. He's still looking to submit to female authority figures, and he's one of these guys who became a ticking time bomb, who wound up exploding in a rage over his girlfriend. And he participated in this spectrum of violent behaviors, attacking his own mother. And this shows us again how dysfunctional this black male was, because he didn't understand that when you're out here and you want to go out here and do things for your girlfriend, you have to have your own money and you have to have your own stuff. Because when you have to depend on your mama, then people don't see you as somebody who they see as somebody who takes seriously. And chances are, again, this female who he was with, she didn't show up because this dude was looking extra weak. And guys who she was working around probably looked at him and said, look at this dude, he's coming here with his mama. And they probably started talking to her on the job or talking to her around the block. And these guys were saying, look, I got my own ride, I got my own stuff. And she's probably looking at them and thinking, I'm going to go get with one of these guys because these guys have their stuff together. But this flies over the head of your beta male, who would rather attack his mother rather than start doing the work of a man to improve himself so that he can continue in a relationship and then learn some further critical thinking skills. Because when I read this article and I looked at it, I said, this dude clearly comes from a female-headed household. He clearly did not get taught good male life skills. He did not get taught male survival skills, and especially he didn't get taught male social skills, because no self-respecting man is having his mama drive him down to a place where his girlfriend is working to pick her up. A dude who has his male life skills and intangibles of manhood, he looks at that situation and he says to himself, this is not a good look for me to have mama coming with me. The only time I want mama to meet my girlfriend is when I'm ready to introduce her as the woman I want to marry, because when I'm ready to introduce my fiance to my mother and my father, that's the only time we go see her, and that's the time when I'm ready to go from being in my mother's house into being in my own house. Now, if you want to learn more about dysfunctional individuals like the beta male simp I talked about in this video, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com, which explains this ongoing crisis of males due to the way they are raised dysfunctionally in single mother households. And if you want to learn more about the simp paradigm that boys learn in single mother households, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping: Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, on Amazon.com as well, in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find these books on Smashwords, the iBookstore, Barnes & Noble, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more videos about men's issues like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose. The man who rules the world runs into the irresistible force of a man with nothing to lose in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get the regular and variant editions of John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose, on Amazon.com today.